My name is Avery Ruffin, and you're listening to the Nancy Ruffin Show.
You are tuned in to the Nancy Ruffin Show, a digital global classroom where individuals across all ages, backgrounds, and career levels tune in for guidance and motivation to live life on their own terms. Hosted by award-winning author, transformation coach, and the self-proclaimed Latina Oprah, the Nancy Ruffin Show is where inspiring thought leaders, modern-day influencers, and social game changers come to discuss their own personal journeys and have real conversations about the journey to success. It's where the next generation of leaders come to tap into their potential, ignite their fire, and expand their self-awareness. So if you're ready to power up and blaze trails of positive change, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Nancy Ruffin Show. Happy Mother's Day, ladies. It was our weekend. I hope that you at least got an opportunity to get some rest. You know, I know for me, that's all I ever ask for, because being a mom, parenting is a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 day a year job. There are no vacation days, there are no sick days, there are no days off. Now, I did not rest this past weekend. I've had a super busy weekend. My children had 2 birthday parties to attend on Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday was Mother's Day. And, you know, up until a certain age, at least in my family, Mother's Day is never for the younger moms, right? So like my sister, myself, anyone in my age bracket. Mother's Day is for the abuelas and the bisabuelas, the great grandmothers. And so we spend a lot of our Mother's Day visiting other mothers, right? So I had an opportunity to go visit my own grandmother, which is always a priority because every year, you know, that we have her, she's a year older, and we don't know if we're going to have her the next year. So I always make sure that I spend Mother's Day with her, because I don't know which Mother's Day is going to be my last Mother's Day with her. And this year, unfortunately, my mom isn't here. She's back in Florida. So I didn't get to see her. But after I visited my grandmother, we headed back. Towards the Bronx to my mother-in-law's house so that the kids could spend some time with her, so that my husband could spend some time with his mom. And then, you know, we headed back home, and I had to get the kids ready, you know, for school. And that was it. You know, so Mother's Day is never for me. Mother's Day is for the other mothers in my life. And that's okay. Because I recognize that without these other mothers, I wouldn't be here. My husband wouldn't be here. And for me, as long as I'm with my children and my husband and with the people that I love most, I mean, there's nothing better that I can ask for. I wish that I would have been able to sleep in a little bit, but that's always one of my, my wish list items. All I want is sleep and some rest. How many of you ladies out there, you can feel me on that? Well, on this episode, I have something special for you guys, because since it was Mother's Day, I really wanted to focus on what it means to be a mother, what the journey of motherhood is like, and also talk a little bit about the realities of being a mother, some of the struggles, some of the things that we don't necessarily highlight on our Mother's Day posts when we're posting on social media and posting those great moments with our children, right? We're not posting the moments when they're having breakdowns and tantrums and embarrassing the crap out of us in public places, or when we're screaming to the top of our lungs and, reprimanding them and disciplining them, or those moments where maybe we get called from the school because our child is misbehaving. Motherhood is not easy. And, if you're a parent, then you know how hard that can be, and then it can be even more difficult if you're a single parent. And we talk a little bit about that on the podcast this week as well, because my sister was a single mother with her 2 girls for a while. And she talks about what that struggle was like for her. And what I really loved about this episode is that I'm joined by my 3 best friends, and we're all at different stages of motherhood. So me and my girlfriend Zaida, we're probably the closest because her son and Avery are like months apart, which is crazy. Her son was born in April and Avery was born in July, so they're 3 months apart. And then my sister, she's right smack in the middle of like the preteen and teen years. And then Myriam, she has 2 of her kids who are already in college. And one of them, is in college in Florida, so she's out of the home. So it's really an interesting perspective because we're talking about how motherhood affects us. And for me, where I am right now, for my sister, for Myriam, they talk about some of their earlier journey, but they also talk about some of the struggles right now. And Zaida talks about some of the challenges that she has with her son because he's been diagnosed with ADHD and what that is like, for her. And this is a woman who has so many other responsibilities. I mean, it was a really great conversation. It was really raw. It was honest. You're really gonna catch us in our element. This is exactly how we talk all the time when we get together. And I struggled with deciding if I wanted to edit the audio or if I wanted to leave it as is. And ultimately, I decided to leave it the way that it was because I wanted to give it to you in its rawest, most purest form. So without any further ado, here is my special Mother's Day episode on the journey of motherhood. Enjoy, guys. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was first trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had so many questions. Like, how do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all of the apps people like to listen to? And how do I make money from my podcast? And the answer to every one of these questions was super simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and super easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast, which means that you can get paid to podcast right away. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, then head over to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Are you tuned in? 'Cause I am. It's the Nancy Ruffin Show.
Welcome back, guys. It's your girl, Nancy Ruffin. And on this episode of the Nancy Ruffin Show, I am being joined by my day ones, my girls, my very best friends for a very special Mother's Day episode. And we're going to talk all things motherhood, parenting. And yeah, so I'm here with my girls. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Sitting on my left, starting with...
No. Start with your right, bitch.
That's for last. Oh, okay. So we're going to start with on my right. Introduce yourself.
Diana Olmedo, I'm the sister.
Bitch, don't try to change your voice. We're not doing that today.
How many kids you got?
Oh, three, my bad. Three kids. It feels like 10.
Ages, how old are they?
Oh, I got a 16-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, and I got 11-year-old.
Okay. Next up is...
Oh, you're not going to ask the serious question, right?
Not yet.
The baby daddies, no?
Oh, okay.
How many baby daddies
you got? Okay, so I got one baby daddy, and I got a husband.
So you really got...
Two different.
Okay.
Yes.
Zaida. Next. Name.
how many number of children you have, and number of baby daddies.
My name is Zaida. I have one child and one baby daddy.
That's not
Well, I
common.
hope so.
But it happens sometimes. And
I can have one child and no, never mind.
And we saved the best for last. My name is Myriam. Do I have to say my last name? No, you said you want to say your street name. Oh, no. My name is Myriam. But you can call me Pool Star 1. You can call me by my street name. That's my street name.
Street handle.
And my street handle. Number of children? I have 3, 2 baby fathers. One's a...
And the other one's your husband.
And the other one's my husband. Okay, so I want to thank you guys for joining me. This is something I've been wanting to do because we have been a part of each other's lives for many various stages. And Zaida, you and I have been friends pre-children.
Pre-marriage.
I feel like Diana always had kids, and Myriam too. But I wanted, since we're all in different phases with our kids, let's talk about parenting styles, right? How has your parenting style either changed or remained the same from how your parents raised you? So if anyone, feel free to chime in.
Do you want me to start?
Are you smoking a cigarette? Go ahead. Are you smoking a Camel?
Why are you blowing us up?
I'm just okay.
The
Puerto Ricans don't smoke Camels, bitch. They smoke Newport. Okay, listen. Back to the topic. Okay, sorry. Zaida.
How is it? Let me start with how is it the same? How is it?
I got you.
We get it.
Watch your eyebrows, bitches.
How is it the same? I think I'm Puerto Rican, so I do a lot of yelling, which Carlos hates. I probably shouldn't say his name because he gets really pissed off when I do podcasts.
First of all, Carlos is like the most common Spanish name on the planet. So I'm sorry, but
Facts.
Hello, your baby daddy and his brother are both named Carlos. So if that's not common, okay, what else is the same name in the same family? 2 brothers, Carlos.
Okay, well now you just really like, because that doesn't happen too much.
But you know what?
Like Myriam, everybody says that my name sounds like an Avon lady's name.
I didn't say the middle name.
I mean, aquí viene Myriam, a venderte los lipstick de Avon.
All right, listen.
Okay, back to
the question.
Go ahead.
So I think it's the same in the sense that I probably am a little tough on my son, like, because I feel like he's very independent. So my mom didn't really like sit down and help me do homework and stuff because she wasn't able to. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm able to, but it's just not what I was taught, to like sit down and do homework with your child. So I'm like, just do it and then bring it to me, and then I'll I'll review it. But how we're different is this is a whole other topic, but my son has ADHD, and I try to be very, very patient with him, which is something that like I feel like my parents weren't like very patient. So but it takes a lot because I'm not
a patient person.
I've never been a patient person, ever. And even my mom has said to me, like, where have you found this patience with your son? And I mean, what's the alternative?
You had to learn it.
You
had to learn it,
Yeah. So I think that's the biggest change.
Well, let me know where you learned it.
I think that the patience part, though, comes as a result of age.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've never been a patient person, super impatient, and I'm not even a lot patient right now, but I'm more patient than I was. But I think it's because I am an older mom that I'm able to just step back for a moment and think about what my reaction is going to be before I react. Where I think when you're younger and you don't have experience and you don't have just the right frame of mind to understand how your reaction might affect the child when they're older. Like, you just don't think of those things. And maybe Myriam or Diana, you can speak to that because you were both younger mothers.
I mean, definitely, like, patience is something that I think comes along with age, because I see the way you guys parent your kids, and I did not parent my kids like that. I mean, especially like when I became a mother, I was a single mother, and I had 2 girls by myself. So it was like they needed to adhere to me and be very, like, well behaved, because I didn't have that support.
You didn't have the luxury.
Right, I didn't have the luxury of having, like, you know, good cop, bad cop situation. Right. It was like, no, it's me, this is the law, this is how you guys are gonna. So the girls were extremely well behaved when they were little. They bitches now, but whatever. But when they were little, they were super well behaved. So when I see your guys, like when I see you guys with your kids, I'm like, what?
But I feel like God will only give you what you can handle.
And that's all that I could have handled at that time. Being a single mom, had I had kids that were like, you know, like my super
Charlie,
hyper,
like my Charlie,
or anything like that, I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it. And so I think that, you know, when I was being a younger mom, I had no other choice but to do things the way that I did them. I didn't have the luxury of patience. It was like, no, you're going to listen to me and that's it. So, you know, with that being said, with my son, it was a lot different because I have my husband and, you know, he's super involved and, you know, he picks up a lot of, you know, the slack when I'm just not in the mood to deal with things. And, you know, it's a totally different situation. And I think that you could probably feel the same.
I definitely agree. And I can't say that I think I just started getting a little bit more patient, and it sucks because my kids are already older. They could fend for themselves. But my motto, you know, I think I raised my kids exactly how my mom raised me. Like, being younger, it was always like, all right, you don't listen, I'm going to fuck you up. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was always like that. Right. And it took for them to get a little older to say, like, yo, this is not right. This is like, you know, you kicking your kid's ass.
Right.
It's not going anywhere, right. You know what I'm saying? And then...
So then you learn different mechanisms on how to...
Exactly.
Well, the law tells you now you can't beat their ass.
Yeah, and then trust me, like, my son threatened to call 911 on me. And I was like, if you keep acting up in school, I'm going to fuck you up. If you fuck me up, my teacher said I could call 911. I'm going to fuck her up too. I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to give you the phone and you could call 911 right now. I'll go to jail, but I'm going to kick your ass before I go to jail, you know? But that's the way I was raised. Right, like, you know, getting my ass whooped if I didn't listen. Like, I think, you know, growing up, like all of us, you know, if we didn't listen, we used to, you know. So that's the first thing, like, when I had a kid, I thought it was all right to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because our father...
was the opposite.
It was a weird... It was like just a weird situation in our house because we had both our mother and father. Our mother she wanted to be our friend more than she wanted to be our parent. And so she gave us a lot of liberties because she wanted to be the friend. But our father was not trying to be the friend. He was trying to be the law, basically.
Yeah. Right.
And he really ruled our house with a very iron fist. And so I think for me, and I think both of us, our parenting styles in a lot of ways mirror our dad's. So much so that there are times where we find ourselves repeating verbatim things that he used to tell us when we were young. We were like, what the heck are you talking about? We used to be like so frustrated, and it was like, Dad, it's too much. But now, you know, what's some of the things that he says, Diana, that we're constantly repeating?
I mean, I feel like a lot of the things for me are older now, like with my kids. I mean, I have a 16-year-old. She's about to start driving. Like, I already know the things that... Right, I already know, like, the things that I'm going to say to her, you know, when it comes time to, like, teaching her how to drive and things like that. But I just think that... I think the whole style of, like, you know, you have to get your education... You have to do well in school. Everything goes on like your grades. If you're doing well in school, then you'll have certain privileges. If you're not doing well in school, then you're not going to have these privileges. And that's something that I think that we both follow quite a bit. I know in my house, like, school is really, really important. It's the only thing I ask my kids to do. They don't really have chores.
They don't have anything to do in this house. These kids are the epitome of spoiled. I love them to death, but
that's not true.
You're spoiled.
No, it's not.
Yes, you are.
You're not in this podcast. You're not a mom. You're not a mom.
I think it is interesting though, like how your childhood plays into like your adulthood.
Absolutely.
Because my mother wasn't very disciplinary. Like she was like, you can't like watch a show, you know. But back then when we grew up, there was no TiVo or DVR or nothing. So if you didn't watch that show that night,
you missed it.
You missed it.
Yeah.
So I would be like, well, Mom, you don't understand. This is like the season finale. Fine, fuck it, shut the fuck up, just go watch the show, you know? She was never like,
she would give in, like, just like, I can't.
And my dad was physically...
Oh, look how good you came out.
I know, it's surprising. Yeah. Because my dad was physically present, but he wasn't present in, like, our everyday, you know? So when I had my son, I had to learn how to discipline him because I didn't know, like, he would do things, I didn't know what to do because I had nothing to refer back to. So I used to be like, what do I do with him? And then, like, Carlos would jump in and I would be surprised because I'm like, why is he so involved? You know, because my dad wasn't involved. And it took me like a long time to adjust to the fact that Carlos was there and he was involved and he was present and he was there to like kind of help me figure things out because my mom didn't have that. You know, she had four kids and she did it pretty much every day on her own, you know, so it's crazy how that plays into like your adult
It actually does because I think I started becoming a better mom. Like I made so many mistakes as a young mom that I regret, and you know, and
look how great those girls are though.
They're amazing. Like I can't ask for anything. You know, I'm working on my son. My son is okay, you know.
No, he's good too. I mean,
he's good too. He brings degrees, you know. Like boy for everybody, but it's like, don't listen to me. I just want the kid out of school. Okay,
she wants him to finish. That's the goal.
I just want him to finish. That's my goal. But best believe, like he's gonna go and take a trade or like do something. Like once he hits 18, his father's sending him to get all these state exams. And stuff like that because he's gonna do something because if he doesn't go to college you're gonna have to pay a bill
and I think that's important, especially for parents that have multiple children. Oftentimes parents make, you know, they have the bad habit of comparing their children, not realizing we're all different. We're different individuals, different personalities, different interests. And so to set the same expectations for each child, it's just not the best way.
Mira que tú estás diciendo eso ahora.
Why?
Dios mío.
No, because I should have the same expectation. You know, you like to criticize a lot.
I don't criticize.
No.
Wait. We can't take out the gloves now.
What do you mean?
Well, because I understand my kids. And you like to, you're going to let this one get away with it. Every kid is different. Whereas one kid might be academic, the other kid might be artistic. And, you know, and that's...
Honey, I learn things from you every single day. I don't sit here...
That's why I keep saying.
Me and Zaida are the newest moms in the bunch. I'm watching y'all.
That's right. We got PhDs in this motherhood shit.
Yeah, that's
it's so true because I don't have any other children. Carlos has an older son, and he tells me all the time he parents Charlie very different than he parents his older son because his older son, when he was 3, did something wrong, and he's like, he patted him on his butt one time, and he really never has to discipline that kid again, you know. And with Charlie,
he looks like a stupid.
Right. And with Charlie, sometimes I get frustrated with Carlos because he won't hit him. It's a lot of like motivation and you're great and you're going to be great and you know, you're this and you're that and you're representing the family. And I'm like, he needs an ass whipping, you know? But I also know, like, internally that an ass whipping doesn't work for my son. Like, he'll take his ass whipping. He don't care. Like a man. Even if you ground him, you stick him in his room, tell him sit in your room, he'll take it. Like I'm always like, yo, this kid will take the time. You know?
I get it because I stopped hitting bro because I was like, it's not doing.
It doesn't do anything.
Like, it's not doing anything, and I'm like, and you know,
but
you have to get in their head.
But even that, I think is. It's growth in parenting because where I think our parents thought that worked, like you guys can recognize when it's not working. And you can say like we need to figure something else out because this isn't working. And you know, I feel like our parents and our grandparents, like I think that was kind of the detriment because they only knew one way. They couldn't morph into another way of parenting. They couldn't figure out another way on how to deal with their individual kid. They parented all their kids the same way. And I think that, you know, learning that is growth and, you know, taking our generation you know, in the next generation to the next level. It's like, okay, this isn't going to work for you. I have to figure out another way.
Yeah. What did your mother teach you about motherhood?
She didn't teach me shit. All she taught me was how to take care of the household and how to make some rice and beans and stuff like that. And I love my mother to death. But, like, the way I grew up is, like, if you have a husband, you have to take care of your husband. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I grew up. And, you know, my kids see the way that I am with their father. So they don't want to be like me when I grow up. They're like, I can't cater to someone like that the way you cater to my dad. It's just like something like I don't want to do. Right. You know?
Right. And Zaida, I guess, how about you? What did your mother teach you about motherhood? And it doesn't have to be something direct. Maybe it's just from her own example of how she mothered you and what you took from that.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because as I got older, I started to understand my mother more, right? So I feel like growing up, my mother was always very upset all the time. But I have 3 siblings, and if you ask each of us, like, we all have different, like, recollections of my mom, right? So I feel like she was always, like, not in a bad mood, but she was always on edge. Right. But I get it now, right? She had 4 kids. Yeah. I have 1. And sometimes I'm like, this is too much. Like, I have to work a full-time job. I have to take care of my man. I have to take care of my kid. I have to take care of my house. Now I have elderly parents. But she was going through all of that, too, with 4 kids and a not-so-supportive husband, you know? So I over time, I've learned to just understand, like, where some of that, where to me perceived like frustration came from. It was just, as women, even 50 years ago, we've always had a lot that we had to deal with. Yeah,
I get it, because my mom too, she was a single mom raising 3 kids, 2 boys. You know, me, I wasn't, none of us were easy, especially me. You know, like,
really?
No,
that's
for real.
Shocker.
Like, you would never imagine. But, like, but she did it, and she did it on her own. So she did the best with what she had, you know, with what, because it's like it was hard for her, but she like,
managed that. That's
she managed, and you know, there was a comment made by another mom, was like, "Oh, your mom is a single mom, and she's doing this or whatever." And I'm just like, okay, so if you were a single mom, I bet you couldn't hold down a household. You know what I'm saying? The way my mother's holding down a household, and the way my mother's holding down 2 jobs just to take care of her 3 children.
I always say single mothers are superheroes.
Exactly.
I can do it.
Which, you know, I didn't take into, like, I don't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate it then, but I do appreciate it now, you know?
Well, I think that when we don't really appreciate certain things until we experience them ourselves. And, you know, my mom had the luxury of having my dad. I mean, she was a stay-at-home mom. She was supported by my dad wholeheartedly, financially, you know, emotionally, whatever. And so when I found myself being a single mom, and it was for a short time, I didn't have anything to refer back to. Right, because, you know, my mother wasn't a single mother. So, you know, I was just doing everything that I could possibly do because of the love I have for my kids. And, you know, I mean, I'm grateful enough that I have my husband now, and he really came in, stepped in as, you know, not only a dad to my son, who's his biological kid, but to my daughters who, you know, those are his kids. Like, no one can tell him differently. Absolutely. And, you know, but I still remember those days. I remember, you know, trying to juggle all that on my own. When I think about it now, I don't even know how I did it, because my life as it is now is so, it's hectic as it is. I almost forget how difficult it was those first few years being on my own with my girls. So, you know, so I think that it's just, you know, you just grow, you just figure things out, you have to just learn how to adapt, and, you know, motherhood is like, I say it all the time. I'm pretty sure I'm fucking my kids up. I'm pretty sure they're going to blame me for a lot of shit. But look, I'm doing the best that I can.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm doing it with all the love in my heart. And at some point, I hope they appreciate it. If they don't, go fuck themselves.
I agree with you. Because
Nancy?
I think that for me, my mom really taught me that mothers are human.
Right.
And I think for a really long time, we put our parents up on this pedestal. We expect perfection from them. That's unrealistic because they're just humans going through this the first time really themselves, right? You're just kind of thrown into this parenting thing when you have a child. There's no handbook, there's no manual. Every child is different. So even if you seek advice from a family member, it's different. And I think that is what I learned from her. I'm able to see her now in her humanity and understand that she did the best she could with what she knew at the time about herself, about what it meant to be a mother, about what it meant to be a woman in a relationship that required of her to live up to this standard that said you have to be all things to your husband. You
at
have
a very young age, when you're still
right.
trying to figure yourself
Right.
out. So,
Yeah, like her life revolved around my dad.
Yeah.
And making sure that he was taken care of and making sure that his needs were met. And never was she allowed to really look at herself and say, what do I want? And how can I fulfill my needs? And I think that watching that dynamic really just helps me to see things differently now as a mother, you know, and for things that maybe I might have blamed her for when I was younger, I can now forgive her for, understanding how difficult it is to be that and to try to fulfill all of the roles that are put on us as women. Even to this day, all of us, you know, we at some point have been career women. We have done it all at the same time. Right. You know, maintain a household, raise our children, taking care of our men, try to figure out how do we take care of ourselves in the midst of all of that. And it's hard. And I don't think that we get enough credit.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for that.
I find myself sometimes complaining, which is something my mother never did. And I'm like, how did you never complain?
Oh, fuck that. I complain.
Like, sometimes I'm like, girls will be like in this cloud of like happiness, and he's like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I worked 14 hours a day. Then the kid was like crazy in school. I had to go to the school, and then my mother got sick, and I had to run to and I find myself complaining, and I'm like, I can remember a lot of things about my mother, but never once did she complain about having to clean the house, take care of her husband, take care of 4 kids, pick kids up from school.
Well, you know, I think they were built differently back then.
They were. We're like
they
bitches.
Really were. Right. And I think,
and we do a lot.
But it's not even so much
like
spoiled.
them.
I think that we're so independent in a sense, and we know ourselves. We know we have self-worth.
Right.
And it's like, that's why we complain, because it's like, when the hell do I get a chance for me? Whereas like men get an opportunity, you know, I mean, even for me, I'm a stay-at-home mom now, and you know, my husband can go away for business and he can sleep a great comfortable night's sleep in a wonderful hotel on his own. He gets to get away from it, even if it's just for a day, 2 days,
even
3
if it's
days,
for
even if it's for business. I don't get away from it. I never get away from it. I'm here 24/7.
And men just don't have to worry about that.
No,
like,
and it's true.
They don't
because
worry.
I say all this, like, because the more we want in a joke, oh, you know, I'm going to leave. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that. And you can say it jokingly, because in the reality of it is, if you decided that you were tired of this, you can get up and leave. You know, mothers
don't have
we
that
can't
luxury.
just say we're leaving.
Right.
Wait, who said they're leaving? I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm just saying that we're just saying that men like can get
up and go.
Get up and go.
If
Well,
they
the motherfuckers ain't stupid. They know it's cheaper to keep us. So
but even for like just the simplest things, like Carlos goes every Sunday faithfully to get a haircut. For me to get a haircut, I have to plan that shit 2 weeks in advance. who's gonna watch the kid? Am I just getting a wash, or am I getting extensions put in? That's a 7-hour process. Right. This one's gonna watch him for the first 3 hours. This one's gonna drop him off for another hour.
Right.
Carlos just goes, gets his haircut, and comes back, and that's it. And I'm like, to do my nails, it's a process.
It's a process. Yeah, it is. And you're right. They have that, they have that luxury. I mean, my husband don't have that luxury, but I mean, some men do. Right. I'll be like, I'm leaving, and you staying with your biological kid and your 2 other kids too, because I'm out. But I mean, and the funny thing is, I mean, I have to tip my hat off to my husband. He does say, he's like, you want to go, you go, but the kids are staying here with me. I mean, but he's lying, because that should be for a week.
But you know what's the crazy part? That I've never asked Carlos to stay with Charlie, and he said no.
Well, because he shouldn't.
But he shouldn't.
But why are we asking though?
Right, but because they pick up, they made plans already. They made plans.
My husband don't make plans to be already. No, Lamar don't make no plans.
I'm sorry.
And I ain't. And even now, I don't ask as much as I tell. I have an event on this day. Don't make plans, because you gotta stay with the kids. Yeah, you know. But I think that's an important thing that you're saying there, because I think that a lot of women do that. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because my husband used to try to be like, well, I'm not gonna babysit.
It's not babysitting.
It's parenting. Yes. It's parenting. Yes. And it took a while to for him to understand that I'm not staying. What do you mean you're not? No, these are your that's your kid. You're staying with the kids.
Right, and I'm gonna go handle this business.
And I'm gonna do what I have to do. I mean, I don't get to do what I have to do anymore, but because I don't have a job.
You do have a job.
I mean, I do,
your
but
job is the
a job outside.
I will tell you right now, there's not enough money in the world that they could pay me
to get me home,
to stay at home.
I keep telling somebody to find me a goddamn job, okay, so I could get the hell out of here.
I go to work to take a break from my kids.
Oh my gosh!
When they don't have school, and I gotta figure out what to do with them. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Now I gotta stay home with my kids.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this might be a little bit off subject, but that's why sometimes I don't want to babysit for you, Mama. I got my own kids.
I got my niece over here mumbling that I'm boring. Look, I beg to differ, and the people that know me will not say that I'm boring, Marissa.
I don't know about now, but back in the day, it was good.
You know what? Let's talk about back in the day, life before our children. What was that like?
I don't remember that. I've been pregnant since.
Well, I do. I remember what my life was like.
I think I was born pregnant.
Yo, I was thinking about that the other day as I was thinking about the show and what I wanted us to talk about. And I was listening to some of the old reggae, and I was like, oh my God, I remember when we used to listen to this in the clubs, or when we used to be in Miami and our most ratchetness, right? And look at what we've turned into.
I ain't even going to talk about it. I just spent 2 hours in a PTA meeting. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, bitch, I don't want to hear about it either.
I mean, do you guys miss anything about your previous life? Because honestly, I don't miss anything, and I tried to take myself back to that time, but I can't remember my life without my kids.
Yeah.
I could remember because I remember sleeping real comfortably, but what I do miss is, and I think we try our best, and I mean, even for the listeners out there, I mean, to get the 4 of us here tonight, it was planning.
Yes. And one of them are still missing.
It's still missing. It was supposed to be 5 of us. But I think
no comment.
I seriously think that that's the only thing I miss. I miss being able to
get together with
my friends on a whim, and us be able to just with no worry in the world. I gotta get back home. I'm sorry, I have to do this.
I was just thinking about this, right? Because I had my son at 36, right? Mm-hmm. So for 36 years of my life, I was able to pick up and go and leave and do whatever I want, right? So the biggest transition for me is just not being able to do what I want at the drop of a dime. Right. Whereas Myriam, you've never been able to do that. So
now I'm able to do it, and y'all bitches have kids at this fucking age. Y'all can't go nowhere. then I'm like, what the fuck? Do I need to have another kid to fit in?
You need to find younger friends.
That's all right, Myriam. You know what? We got to X them out.
Yeah, for real. We just got to do our own thing.
What would you say has been the most rewarding part of motherhood so far?
For me, it's everything. Like, my son is crazy.
We know.
He's crazy. But I love him so much. Like,
yeah.
Everything. Like, even when he's being at his worst, sometimes I'm, like, laughing in a corner because I'm just like I say to myself,
I created that.
You're like delirious. You're laughing and crying at the same time. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I go, you know what? This kid has 2 parents. He comes from a good household. Yep. Like, he's fucking crazy, but he's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. Like, I love everything about motherhood, and I hate everything about motherhood all at the same time. It's like
it's like
crazy.
the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's funny because it's like, for me, it's all those like little moments. It's getting an email from your son's teacher that he got emotional at school.
Right.
It's watching your daughter go to her sophomore social all dressed up and all dolled up. It's watching, and I get emotional just talking about it, it's watching your other daughter get so excited because we thought she ran so slow, and when she said she was going out for track, we were like, are you crazy? She plays softball and she's the slowest runner on the team.
Oh my god,
but she comes home and she's like, I came in first. It's those moments that you are just, that your heart is so swelled with pride that makes like all the crap that comes along with it worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my kids are still really young, so for me, it's really just those moments, like when I get home and all they want to do is relax with me.
Yeah.
It's like, Mommy, come on, let's go get in your bed. I just want to relax.
Because you have girls, they want to be around you.
Yes, they want to cuddle. And so those are the moments that I really cherish, even though when they get on my damn nerves sometimes, because all they want to say is, Mommy, 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 Mommy. I'm like, that's not my name anymore. Like, what should we call you? I'm like, nothing. I don't have a name. I'm the mommy with no name. But yeah, it's those moments that you see and feel the love that they have for you. And it's like, wow, like, I created that.
Yeah, completely.
For me, it's like, I love being a mother. Like, at this stage of my life, like, my kids are like my world. Like, they've always been my world, but like, I'm so proud of them. Like, even if maybe I thought like I wasn't the best mother, like, they just
to them you are.
To them I am, and I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, they're like, Ma, they're like, you're like the best mother ever. And I was like, really? I was like, where did you get that from?
I thought I've been fucking you up all along.
Listen, I thought I fucked those kids up, and I ain't joking. Like, but like, being a mother to them, and like, just like, I would do anything for my kids, and just seeing like the person they becoming, and like how my girls are like young women, and they're wonderful women. And my son, even though he gave me problems in school or whatever, he's such a good kid. Like, there was, like, let me just give you an example. Like, there were these, and I'm not knocking anybody because, you know, everybody has a struggle, but like all the kids that he grew up with or went to school with, when we go to get a sandwich from the bodega or something, they're all like in front of the liquor store, hanging out, drinking, smoking, like out there all hours of the night. Half of them dropped out of school, half of them, like, you know, and I'm always hard on him because I'm like, I just want you to be a better you. I just want you to, like, you know, and he's like, Mom, he was like, I may not do so great in school, but at least I'm not out there, like, you know, and I'm like, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
So I accept you for who you are, but I just still want you to be a better you.
And isn't that something when your kids, like, check you? I mean, I've had that, and I'm pretty tough on my kids, and I always think that the oldest kind of gets it the most. And I know, you know, my older daughter, you know, she knows, and she tells me, she's like, Mom, I'm a good kid, and I don't care if you're a good kid, but, you know, then I go home and I think about it, and I'm like, she is a good kid, but she knows that as long as you're a good kid, I'm going to continue to be your biggest advocate. I'm going to continue to give you certain liberties and trusts you. So it's like it works in both ways, and I think that that's like the same thing with you. Like, yeah, you're not on the corner. That doesn't mean that you're gonna stop pushing him to do well.
Exactly.
And I think that that's what, you know, being a parent is. It's like, you know what? A parent that loves their kids is never gonna stop pushing and saying, I want better for you. I want more for you than what I had. And you know what? And my sister and I were pretty damn lucky. We had a, you know, for the environment that we grew up in, we had a lot.
Right.
And, you know, and we just want more for our kids.
Right.
Same thing with you guys. You guys want more for your kids.
Exactly.
So, you know, and I think that that's like the key to that's the key to parenting. It's just like, as long as you continue to push your kids and have that and take them to the next level, I think that's all we can do.
I remember something your father said at your 40th birthday, that you were like a tougher kid.
Yeah.
But he knew that as long as he loved you, that you would be okay.
Yeah.
And like when he said that, I was like, because I was like at the height of my son's like craziness, and I said, as long as I love him and he knows that he comes from a good family and he always knows that he has a place to come back to.
Yes.
Like, forget everything else. Of course I want him to be educated and I want him to be successful, but as long as he knows that his parents love him, because there really are a lot of people in this world who doubt if their parents love them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that affects you, you know?
It does.
And advocating for your kids. Advocating for them and being there for being in their corner all the time.
Absolutely.
You know, it's that like, I believe in that wholeheartedly. Like, it's like, I'm always gonna advocate for my kids. I'm always gonna be there for them. I'm the first person, you know, and sometimes I have to catch myself because I think, like, you know, I mean, it's so funny, like my son, when he was like super young, like he spoke with like this crazy accent, almost like a southern accent, and I'm like, you're Puerto Rican. Like, where did you get that accent from? And I remember when he was in school, and I was like, and I spoke to like the speech therapist, and I was like, can you have him tested, because I just don't know where this is coming from. And I remember her calling me, and she's like, no, your son's fine, like he's like perfect, like don't worry. But you know, he's like, you know, some kids take longer to like pronounce certain letters. And, you know, but it was just that thing, to be able to go out and to be able to say that, you know, if there was an issue, there's an issue. I wanted to, like, nip it in the bud. Like, do we need a therapist? Do we need what? You know, you have to be your kid's biggest advocate.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they can't advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. So every time, let me tell you something, every time I got called by a teacher for Derek, the first thing I would do, I would sit him down and said, tell me the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Because I'm going into this meeting, right? I'm going to listen. But at the same time, if you need me to defend you, I'm going to defend you. But you got to tell me the truth.
Right.
So he'll tell me everything from what he did wrong, which was pretty bad most of the time, you know? But they were quick to, and I talked to you about this, Zaida, because I know what you're going through with your son, like I went through with my son. You know, the teachers are always quick to want you to medicate your kids, you know, because it just makes their job a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I'm not here to make your job easier. I'm not medicating my kid.
Right.
So you're gonna educate my kid just like you educate all the other kids.
And when you have these types of children, you have to be their advocate. I tell my son the same thing all the time. Like, you need to tell me the truth, because I can't help you if you don't tell me the truth. Even if you tell me what you did was wrong, then I need to know that so that I can still go in there and know both sides of the story and help you.
Because they're always going to point out everything that he did wrong.
Right.
But they're not going to point out the reason why. There's always a reason.
Right.
You know, even if what he did wrong was really bad and maybe he shouldn't have reacted that way, but why did he react that way? There's always a reason, but they don't want to name, they don't always want to say the reason, or they don't think that the reason was big enough for him to react that way. But, you know, your kid is always the one in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get very touchy when other people, I know my kid is a lot, and I know that he has his issues, he's very hyper, but I do get very touchy when other people start saying, oh, he's a bad kid. because he's not a bad kid. He just has a little bit more energy than the next kid. He's just a little bit more busier than the next kid.
My kid is bad. I be saying I already got called up to the school twice. She's 3 years old. She got a problem with her hands.
This happened to differ. I never said Derek was a bad kid. I always just said he was misunderstood. Like, you guys just don't understand him. That's why you think he's a bad kid. Yeah. But if you try to understand him, then you will know where he's coming from. You know what I'm saying?
Good.
And, and as a parent, you're like, you want them to conform, right? Because you don't want your kid to be like the outlier, but at the same time, you don't want to take away from
what makes it
from
them
who they are.
Right. There has to be. I think trying to find that balance is the struggle for parents. And I guess as we wrap up, because my kids are about to go wild aside.
Melatonin, boo boo. Google.
I just, what advice would you give to your younger self about being a mother, or what it means to be a mother? Like, if you had to do it again, like, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh, wow.
Myriam. Okay, Diana.
I should have married my husband a long time ago. No. To my younger self, I don't know.
Before kids, you mean? Or
no, like when
general?
you were a young mother. If you can go back to that moment when you first became a mother, from where you were then to where you were now, that young mother who was maybe struggling being a single mother with the 2 kids, where you didn't know what
that's difficult, because I would have been like, mommy, don't stress it, because you have a knight in shining armor that's gonna come and get you in a minute. But no, to be honest, I have to be completely honest, I have no regrets or no.
So what would you say to a young mother? What advice would you give a young mother?
Advice that I would give a young mother, a young single mother, is like, love your kids, give them all, give your all to your kids, and when you do that, all the blessings come, and I truly believe in that, because I while I want to say I sacrificed, I mean, it wasn't a sacrifice. I loved being a mother. I loved taking care of my kids. I loved dressing them up. I loved all of it, even the hard times, even the times where I thought, like, I can't do this. The next day, something happened that made it easier for me.
Right.
So it's like, love your kids. Don't give up. Don't
mistakes are okay.
Mistakes are okay.
Tell my kids.
I mean, because you can't be too hard on yourself. Do the best that you can, and I think that's in anything that you do. That's in your career. That's in volunteer work that you do. That's in anything. It's like, you do the best that you can, and if people can't appreciate that, then you can easily go tell them. And I've had a couple of glasses of wine. Tell them to go screw themselves. That's it. It is what it is.
What advice would you give to a young mother?
So, to a younger Zaida, I would say, expect the unexpected. Because I always lived my life a certain way. And I knew that when I had children, my kids were going to be perfectly well behaved and perfect in school, and everything's going to be perfect, because that's the picture that I painted for myself. And so I would say, expect the unexpected, be patient, give a lot of love, and in the end, everything will work out.
Myriam.
I would say I went through some hard times as a young mother, especially with Vanessa. Like whatever you can think of, I went through it. I went through, having my own apartment. When I had her, she was just a couple of months, not being able to pay my Con Edison bill, sleeping without lights. So my thing is, I always regretted being that young mother. You know what I'm saying? Because I was always like, it's a stereotype. Like, you know, it's expected of me. I'm young, I'm Puerto Rican. I was out in the, hanging out in the street and blah, blah. But, it's not that I wouldn't change anything because I learned from it.
Right.
And I think it made me the person and the mother that I am today. If I would have never went through what I went through as a younger mother, I wouldn't have been like the best mother I was for Tiana and for Derek after.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And my kids wouldn't be the kids that they are today.
Right.
So they were too young to remember the struggle, but I remember the struggle. And just like I would say to any young mother, like, just don't give up. Keep pushing forward and try to be the best mom you can be, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be you and your kids.
Yeah. And I guess for me, what I would say to any young mother, any mother at any point in their life is, we give so much of ourselves to our kids. We devote our lives to our families. Remember to always keep something for yourself.
Yes.
You have to have something for yourself. If not, you are going to lose yourself. And once that happens, you're going to start resenting
your
kids and your life. So whatever point in your life you're in right now, figure out how you can give some time back to yourself and nurture that part of yourself, so that when your kids are older,
that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah,
because I got a lot on that topic.
You know, and it doesn't have to be anything big, but it could be like Zaida said. You know, you figure out how you're gonna, spend some time. You go get your nails done. Just give yourself some time to step away from your responsibilities.
Girl, take a vacation.
Yeah. But with that, I'm going to end this episode of the podcast. I want to thank you all for being a part of this special episode. It was so much fun.
Yay.
I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves.
I had a great time.
And I hope that you guys out there in podcast world enjoyed my friends. These are my absolute best friends in the entire world. They've been with me through every single stage, crazy stage in my life. Vieja stage that I'm in now, as Myriam likes to remind me.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this stage, but whatever.
But, keep your friends close, because you're going to need them. And I think the older that I get, the more appreciative I become of my friendships.
Because these kids are going to grow and they're going to leave us and we're going to be left with ourselves.
Yes.
We're going to be out. We're going to be free. Free. Good God Almighty, we're free at last.
I'm already
I know
free.
you free.
So until next time, mi gente, go out there and crush those goals.
Thank you for listening to the Nancy Ruffin Show.